Hi, everyone. Just a very quick presentation that I'm giving as part of our Chamber Collective groups that we're running as part of the Penrith Chamber. And this topic that I'm going to cover off is really just some very, very basics around marketing fundamentals. I'll introduce myself very quickly. I'm a business coach. I run the business coaching division for Chan and Naylor nationally. Chan Naylor is a national accounting, finance and advisory group. We've got 8 offices around the country with about 160 staff. I'm an accountant by training, but I don't really provide accounting services to my clients. I really focus on helping them with strategy, planning, productivity, and business profitability in general, and generally work with businesses that are established and growing and need help better managing that growth. Now, I have to say up front that marketing is not something that I specialize in. I was looking for a topic quickly to share with the group because I know that we didn't have a presenter for today. So that's just letting you know all up front that marketing is not an area of specialty for me, but looking at the different topics that I had at hand quickly, I think marketing, this one here that I've shared with my clients was probably the most appropriate. If you do want any particular marketing help, we definitely have more focused marketing specialists within the chamber, the Penrith Chamber members as well. All right, so as I said, today's topic is all about marketing fundamentals. And what I might do quickly is just share with you again my business model and where marketing fits into that. I won't go through it in any big detail, but I always tell people there are 3 parts to every business. The first part is getting the work in the door, and I've got 3 areas that I cover off with clients there. The second part is getting the work done productively and effectively. I've got 3 things that I cover off there with clients. And the last part is getting paid, getting organized, making sure the back office is working and that you're organized and on top of things in your business. And marketing fits into this part here. It's all about getting the work in the door. We need to make sure we have our strategy right first. We know where we're positioned in the market, what our competitors are doing, what our point of difference is, make sure our business model works and the financial model around that works. But then marketing is all about generating leads. It's running campaigns and generating leads. And then sales is all about taking those leads and converting them into customers. All right, so that's where marketing fits into this whole business building model of mine. And as I said, if I just go back to that, even though I cover off all of these with my clients, I'm not a specialist in all of these areas. And my job is really to bring in people that are experts in these in different areas where I'm not a specialist. But I have enough idea about marketing to give you some basic fundamentals. All right, so as this slide says, marketing is where it all starts. A lot of people feel, well, I'm good at what I do, and that should be enough. But if you really want to scale the business and grow the business, you really need to find ways to generate new leads. And even though a lot of people do rely on referrals and word of mouth, that's not really scalable, and you're really waiting and hoping for those leads to appear in your inbox or for the phone to ring. So ideally what we would do is have a system where we can turn the tap on and generate inquiries and generate leads instead of hoping that someone's going to mention our name somewhere down the track. Okay. So a quick question for all of you, and this is where I'd love you to type something into your chat box. Who here actually does paid marketing, not just referrals and word of mouth type of marketing? What do you do that is paid marketing? So I'd love to hear, what people might do out there. So just open up your chat box and share that with us. And I'll call that out. So Anthony's saying basic Google ads, and I think that's something we discussed last time, Anthony, when Sam from Blue Water Digital was sharing. Shirin says not much. Shelley, yes, Google ads, ads via Google, Instagram, and Facebook, and also networking. Excellent. Who else is? So Tim at the moment At the moment, the licensee does it for you, but going forward, you will need to. Jerome is EDM, so that's electronic direct mail. If people are wondering what EDM stands for, so that's basically using a tool like MailChimp or something like that. Building a database first, and then sharing content, sharing information, maybe sharing specials. Presumably, Jerome, that's the sort of thing that you probably do. Okay, good. All right, so what I want to talk about quickly is that marketing, it needs to be an investment and not an expense. And that's pretty straightforward. But how do you do that? And it's all about testing and measuring different things, because marketing is maths. At the end of the day, we should be able to measure what sort of results we're getting, know how much we're spending, what results we're getting. And obviously, if the profit on the spend is more than the spend itself, then it makes sense to run, generally speaking. But what I find is that a lot of people run ads and they don't actually know if that ad's working for them. So for example, a newspaper ad. And the simplest way to understand whether things are working is when you get inquiries, you obviously ask people, by the way, can I just ask how you found out about us? And that's when they'll say, okay, we either Googled you or we saw you ad in the newspaper. Now, you can obviously run campaigns where there is a special offer or a special code that they mention, that they can unlock an offer. And depending on where those codes are, you can track whether it was newspaper or it was a magazine ad or it was an online ad and so on. All right. But the general principle is test different things, test different headlines, whether it's Google AdWords or whether it's newspapers or whatever you do, don't be afraid to test different things, but as long as you measure the results and you can measure how effective that advertising or that marketing is, okay? And even networking, you should be able to track how many leads come from networking, how many leads come from you putting that commitment into the chamber and coming to events. And there may be different reasons that people go to chamber events. It may not be just to generate leads. It may be just to feel connected with the business community, to understand what's going on locally. Okay, so really depends on what your purpose is, but definitely test and measure different things. And there's two sides of marketing. There's acquisition cost and lifetime value. And it's really the two sides of the same coin. So what I'm going to do is just flick over to my iPad quickly. So I'll just bring this up. Hopefully it works. I'm just trying to connect it to my... So you can see that up on screen. I'll just make that a bit bigger. And just quickly to explain, there's these two sides. You've got acquisition cost and lifetime value. So acquisition cost is all about how much does it cost for us to buy a new customer. So if we are running Google Ads, like a few of us are, if we are, let's say we're outsourcing our EDM campaigns to a marketing agency, or we're going to networking events, all these things cost money. We need to work out, well, how much does it cost for each new customer that we get from those channels? Okay, so that's where acquisition costs come in. And as I said, the whole aim is to reduce the cost of acquisition. And the way to do that is test and measure. So it is about testing different things and working out which ones are more effective, which headlines are more effective, which types of ads are more effective. And then over time, you'll stop running those ads that don't produce a result. And then you'll run more of the ads that are producing a better result. All right. So that's the way that you will reduce your acquisition cost over time. On the other side of the coin that I mentioned, it's lifetime value. So lifetime value is what is the value of a new customer to your business in terms of profit, not just revenue. So let's say that, who do we have on the call here? So Julie, for example, Julie's is part of a law firm. A new customer may be worth an initial amount, but then over the lifetime of that customer with that comes on board, they may use the law practice for many different matters over the next 5 or 10 years that they're a client of the law firm. So you need to look at, well, how much is that customer worth to the law firm over the lifetime value? Jerome and Vince as well, from a travel agency perspective. Once again, how much is a new corporate customer worth to you? Obviously worth a lot. So it's not just that initial booking that they make, but that corporate customer over the lifetime of their business with you might be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. Okay. So it's all about understanding that, because once you understand what the lifetime value is, then you can decide how much is it worth to spend to buy a customer like that. So obviously for Jerome and Vince's business, a corporate customer is worth a lot more than a residential customer. So you can run marketing campaigns that are totally different, because you can afford to spend more to attract and acquire a corporate customer than a residential customer. Even though I know residential customers obviously will have repeat business as well. So that's what lifetime value is all about. So the whole aim is to increase the lifetime value over time. So that could be by getting them to come back and buy again, buy additional services. Law firms do this very well, or should be. They initially get some property client, for example, that does some conveyancing. Then it's all about educating them on the need for a will, or educating them on the other services that law firm provides, and so on. All right. So how do you get them to spend more over that lifetime, but also give referrals? How do you get them to introduce other people they know to your business? All right. So that means that, if you bring a customer on board, if you can get them to bring other customers along down the track, that all creates a higher lifetime value. Okay. So any questions on that before I move on? Because that's really the crux of my quick presentation. It always all about, well, what is the value of your customers over their lifetime? So have a think about that. So if anyone wants to have a think about that and put something into the chat box, happy for you to give that a go. So for example, Vince and Jerome, based on an average, and I know it depends on the size of a customer, but for a corporate customer, sort of that sweet spot that the size that you're looking at, how much would they normally spend with you outside of lockdown? How much is that worth to your business over their life? And it could be an annual figure that you want to think about. It could be a figure over a 5 or 10 year period. It's just starting to think about that. Okay. Can I ask quickly, who has done that exercise for their own business in terms of this customer lifetime value? Has anyone done that and thought about that for their business? Just say yes or no in the chat box. That would be good to know. And I'll keep going. So Anthony said no. So Anthony, lawyers would be a fantastic customer for you in that they refer business. So working out, how much a new a legal partner is worth to your business could be an interesting exercise. Shirin said no. Shelley, yes, sort of. Yours is low because you probably don't get a lot of repeat business. So every business is going to be quite different, but definitely a good exercise to go through. And then the last thing I want to cover off is really having multiple channels and sources of leads. It's like this, your business is like this bridge. Don't just rely on one support structure, i.e. marketing channel. Look at a few different ones. Now, I've been part of a coaching group which promotes a 10 by 10 strategy, where you have 10 different types of marketing that produce 10% of your total leads. I know that it can be difficult for a business to have 10 different marketing strategies, but don't just rely on one or two. Look for a handful at least of different marketing strategies. Not all will produce the same number of leads or same percentage of leads. Some will produce more and some will produce less. But I've seen too many businesses that only rely on one referral source, and then that that person disappears or merges their business or stops being in business, whatever might happen, and then your lead source dries up. So definitely look at multiple sources. Okay, happy to open that up for discussion. If anyone, feel free to unmute yourself, and if anyone has any questions, any comments about what I've just covered. Anthony's asked us saying, yep, that's fine, Craig, I know you have to leave. Started looking at this in March last year, just waiting for COVID to get sorted to implement. Yeah, and that's fair enough, Anthony. Any comments, anyone? Otherwise, I'll wrap up and we'll continue with the rest of our meeting.